I hate to see it end for these guys. I think, anytime when you come to an end and you're not going to be with that group anymore because we asked so much of this group, new coaching staff, new teammates coming together. And then we were in a tough stretch and EJ got hurt and came back and asked them to regroup and then to win 5 out of 6 going into this game. And they gave everything they could. Mo absolutely unbelievable performances down the stretch, and he won't say anything. He won't make an excuse, but he hasn't had a rep this week of practice with his back. And, for him, we didn't even know he was going to play, and to have that kind of performance, that's how much of a competitor Mo Gibson is. So I hate to see it end for the players, because it was our 8th game that we had a shot to win it at the end, and we didn't.
First question for Phil. What about Chris Phillips?
Porter, let's start with the final play. I know you didn't have a timeout. Are you happy with what Jordan was able to try to get going?
Well, we tried to get Mo off a flare. I mean, we had to double down on that sideline play. We had so many plays, and we just watched it, and he ghosted, and Jordan went downhill. We were down 2 at the time, and we're in bonus, and they stuck to Mo, and then Tanner was actually open, but Jordan threw it to Marv, and Marv was wide open, and then he took a dribble for a pull-up. It's a play we've run a lot. It's called ghost F. He goes up and goes downhill. They really stuck to him. But, man, he got free for so many shots down the stretch. You hope sometimes they're scrambled where they maybe hit a gap and did one more to him once we got it scrambled, but it didn't happen.
Next question, we'll go to Jesse Crittenden.
Porter, they shot pretty well from and three-pointers. I mean, what did you see from your defensive effort? Did you wish it was better, or is it just tip your cap to them making so many tough shots?
Both. I'm always self-critical of our defense. They're a veteran team. That starting 5 started in the NCAA tournament last year. 5 guys start averaging over 12, all 12 of them. When we were up 4, they hit a couple bombs, and you got to give them credit. They ran this little an under and then a ball screen, and they make you put decisions. They roll the big kid who they can just throw it up by the rim, and but they made some tough shots with it. But it was a combination of both. You got to tip your hat off to some of the shots that they made.
Go to John Hoover next.
Yeah, Porter, you mentioned being a new group, new coaching staff and all that, and then you also mentioned the experience on St. Bonaventure's roster. Those two things play against each other when you've got 5 guys that are seniors on a team that have been together as long as they have, 4 years, starters and stuff like that. And you look at the numbers, 4 of them played 40 minutes tonight.
I know. It's a group that I've watched, and I've talked to people in the Atlantic 10. They're just resilient. They just you watch them go to Colorado. Think about that trip. They found out Sunday night they had to go to Colorado. They had to leave the next day and play in the altitude on Tuesday and beat Colorado with 5 guys with the altitude. It was a resilient group, and you got to tip your hats off to that. But when you got that kind of seniors that have been through it, NCAA team last year, they missed out on it. They go to Colorado, then they turned right around. They came to Oklahoma, and with that said, I still think we had our chances. We fought back. We had some ill-advised turnovers. I thought we had a lot of shots. I mean, we were saying the huddle, like we opened up, we missed like 2 layups. I mean, we had some shots. We got some things. We didn't capitalize on some of the opportunities we had, and they capitalized on some of the opportunities they had.
We'll go to Justin Martinez next.
Porter, appreciate your time today. Ethan had a really good start for you guys off the bench, specifically his passing, 6 assists in this one. So what do you see out of him this season? Obviously, first year with the team, just coming from SMU, really embracing the role off the bench for you guys.
Man, I thought Ethan was one of the most improved players throughout the year. His passing ability, the problem was he got in foul trouble tonight. We were rolling with him, and he got in foul trouble. That big kid kept on lobbing into him, and man, we were trying to roll with him because when he gets like that, that's when we're really. But he's making so many things happen with his passing ability, and we were better when he was on the floor tonight. He's probably one of the most improved players these last couple of months in the program, and you wish him had him for another year.
Just real quick before we continue with questions for coaches, anyone have a question for Umoja? Okay, we'll go to James Hale now.
Hey Mo, great game today. If you could talk about that. Also, have you made a definite decision what you're doing about next year?
Appreciate you for congratulating me on the game. But nah, man, I ain't even thinking about that right now. I'm just thinking about that L we just took. Most dub.
Well, talk about your game and how it went. I mean, from you personally, we didn't know you were hurt. So, how much did it bother you? And obviously, you had a great game.
It was bothering me a lot these past couple of 2 days. Obviously I haven't been able to come in early, get my shots up, my daily routine. I ain't been able to get reps in practice. It just all been mentally, and I knew coming in today I had to play through some pain, and obviously that's what I did. But unfortunately we ain't come out with a dub. So
Congrats on a great season.
appreciate you.
We'll go to Ryan Chapman next. Okay, we'll go Foxers though.
Mo, just the evolution of your game throughout this season, from being known as just a three-point shooter, and then just the way you finished in the last 2-3 weeks, maybe playing the best ball you played since being at OU.
You asking me
The evolution of your game.
the evolution? Basically just trusting in my ability. Coach always preached to me all season, like they gonna run me off the line. He challenged me. What can I do when I get in the paint? Can I make plays for others, or can I make great decisions within the 3-point line? And I took on that challenge, and I improved myself as a player.
I'd like to just add on to that. Unquestionably, he improved himself as a player. I've never been around a player who works harder on his game than Mo Gibson. And I've been doing this 30 years. I've never seen anybody put hours in. It's every day. And to see his game off the dribble improve, his game off the dribble, getting to the rim, he got to the rim so much this last 3-4 weeks. And that's to see his, there's one thing when your opponent, the one's being able to shoot the ball. It's another thing when your opponent knows you can shoot the ball. And there's not a scouting report that we went through all year long that they didn't focus in on him. And he's taken that and he's worked on his off the dribble game. He's worked on shot, eyes to the rim, step over that shot when they're flying at you instead of shooting when they're flying at you. Look how many shots he's gotten this last couple months of eyes to the rim, fly by, gather yourself, instead of shooting it when they're flying. But he's really adjusted and found ways to be a better player, and that's a credit to him.
We'll go to Nate in the back right.
Sure. For both of you, I know it's still fresh, but what do you take away, or what will you remember about this year? And what are you going to had to come in and hit the ground running from a player's perspective? What was it like changing from law to
Coach, since he stepped on campus, he challenged us defensively. Coach Cruz was kind of offensive mind guy, but Coach Moser, he challenged us defensively. Take on the challenge day by day, and just coming into the season, not knowing what to expect, and he just told us he told me when I got on campus just to take on the challenge, be a pit bull on defense. I tried my best to do that, but some takeaways from this season, man. Down the stretch, we got to learn how to, finish games. Like 8 of our games this year, it came down to the last second shot, and man, it was just tough L's at the end, man. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get on the other end of the stick in them 8 games.
Coach, did you want to answer that question as well?
Yeah, my mind's just so lost. I'm just thinking about him and what he's gone through. But it's hard to have a coaching change, and I just appreciate him and the other guys. Jalen, EJ, and Rick, those guys that were here, to just. They love Oklahoma. They put everything into it. You appreciate that so much. A lot of guys left. These guys stayed. And I thought, just watching us improve, get better. We got a lot of the things that were, to get better at the program. You know, obviously there's, you know, guys transferring. We'll see how that shakes out. You know, those are questions for another day. But you appreciate so much how much a young man has to go through on a coaching change.
What a great play line.
Mo, you talked about how Coach had an emphasis on defense, but off the court, how did he build his culture this year within the program?
Man, he brung it every day. I just remember a flashback in the summer, and he said he gonna bring it every day, and that's what he did. He challenged all of us on the team to bring it every day too, and to believe in the culture. So most definitely.
Go to Joey Homer.
Porter, Jordan really seemed to be finding it with that angle today. Just how did that affect you guys in terms of your lineup, and then what does it say about him that he was able to gut it out with kind of how banged up he was?
Yeah, it was tough with the practices. Obviously, you take Jordan and Mo out. Mo's been playing backup point the last 4 or 5 games, and so we were, you know, to take those out of practice. And you know, Jordan, you could just see he didn't have his burst. You could just see, but he wasn't gonna lay down. He was not gonna not play. So you give him so much credit for that. Definitely affected him. I mean, there's no question about it. But his guts to battle back and to in there. But yeah, the practices the last couple of days, they were just sitting there and mentally having to stay with it.
Go to Ryan Chapman next.
I wanted to expand on something you just said a few questions ago. You talked a lot this year about building the culture and building that up. When you've got Jalen, EJ, Umoja, guys here in year one, what does that do for you as far as just accelerating in the big picture you're talking about, of having anchors like that in year one to be a cornerstone spinning forward?
It's everything. How you build a program is then when the new guys come in, you have a foundation of guys who are like, this is how it goes. This is how we do things. This is how we do things. It was new to everybody. You know, I was in the NCAA bubble last year for 15 days, and like 4 or 5 days later, I'm in Norman. You know, then I'm trying to move forward. We're trying to put together a team in a pandemic, and then when we finally got together and started working out, it was everything from terminology, you know, from scratch. Now when we come back and when the workouts, you know, you'll have spring workouts with whoever's coming back. And then the summer when everybody gets together, you got a foundation of older guys helping the new guys. That's how you build a program, is when you get a group of guys, the new one you're adding, you're continuing to grow your talent. And then when they get there, the group that's already been there is like, this is how we go. This is how this is done. This is our culture. And that's when it starts to go. This was just like a year like no other, because only a couple of them played together. And then everybody else was new. And it was from scratch.
We have time for a few more questions. We'll go to Justin Martinez.
I appreciate you taking time to talk tonight. Just going back to that back injury, is that something that happened in the last game? You've been dealing with it for a while. Just when did that start, and how important was it for you to still be able to suit up tonight?
It started like against the Oklahoma State game, like before that game. But after that game, it kind of went away, and I was getting those shots early in the morning, like two or 3 days ago. And afterwards, it started messing with me again. It got real tight, and it got to the point like where I could barely stand up straight, and I was real still. So, yeah, that's when it started, like at the Oklahoma State game.
That wasn't something that was going to keep you out there. How badly did you want to play tonight?
Man, I wanted to play. I wanted to give it my all out there on the floor. I ain't want to leave my teammates hanging. I ain't that type of guy. I just knew coming to this game, like I said earlier in the press conference, I was going to have to play through some pain, and that's what I did today.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'll add on that, you know, just a side note. Knowing, you know, whether Mo has bumps and bruises or played a lot of minutes and we had a short turnaround, or I knew his back since the Oklahoma State, I'd go, Mo, you're right. He goes, Coach, I'm straight. I mean, that was his answer every single time. Never missed a practice. And then this week, I knew he was hurt because he was trying to go, and then all of a sudden he was like, you could just see he had a bend in his thing, and he just says, I can't these last couple of days. And then today, how you doing, Mo? I'm straight. I mean, there was no way he was not going to say he was not straight. I knew that. I knew I was going to get that answer on game day from him. But literally, all through the year, whether he plays 38 minutes or he does this or his ankle or his back, I'm straight, and he comes to practice every day. And when he said it this week that I knew he was really hurt. And but I knew I was going to get that straight answer on game day today.
Go to Colts with a final question.
Porter, this is it for Jordan, Marvin, Ethan. You talked a little bit about it, but what does it mean? What do they mean to your year one and building your culture? And what do you think of their games tonight?
You know, with the transfer portal, it's just with guys with 1 year, it's so hard. They're looking for and it's hard. You know, I hope everyone in the transfer portal understands it's not easy. I loved Ethan and Marvin because they're from Oklahoma. That was one of the reasons I wanted. You know, it was one of the reasons that appealed to me. They're from Oklahoma, you know, I remember with Ethan, he really wanted to play for the University of Oklahoma in his last year, and to see him improve like he did. To see Marvin fight through so many things. I mean, there's going to be a lot of life lessons for Marvin. He fought through a lot of things to get to the point where he was in the rotation. And that's fighting through adversity for him was a life lesson. And then Jordan, you know, with the bigger role than he had at Duke. And so all three of them came from different spots and did that. You hate to see it end. As a player, I'll never, ever forget that feeling of it being done playing your last college game. That's a lonely feeling. Your whole life you get identified as being a player. Like for me, like I think they all have aspirations to keep playing, all right? With me, I had an aspiration to coach. I knew when my days at Creighton were over. I was like everybody else. My sophomore year, I'm going to play. I'm going to play. Then the reality hit. I'm probably not going to make a lot of money with my game, and it just crushed me to be done. So I feel for that. Every last game of my entire career, I feel for those guys that are done. I have a empty gut for those three, knowing that that's their final game.
All right, that concludes our availability.
I just want to say thank you, the media. You guys were prepared. You guys were gracious. You guys were fair. And I'll be available in these weeks to come. I know there'll be a lot of questions about recruiting and recaps of the season and my thoughts, and I'll always be available. But just want to say thank you and how fair and prepared this group was. Thank you.
For more information, you can visit TulsaWorld.com.